Two experts in ICF.
Yeah.
Decades of experience. One podcast.
Yeah.
Two hosts with a lot to say.
Look, I cannot sit through a struggle. I gotta get up and hustle. I gotta push through the pain, cause really that's how you build muscle.
Welcome to the Build with ICF podcast with your hosts, Trevor Brown and Heather Brown. Yep, they're a package deal. With over 20 years of ICF installation experience, Trevor can throw down some expertise on sales, marketing, and training. On the other side of the table sits Heather, aka the girl boss. And she's earned the title as the owner of an award-winning ICF construction company, a drafting and design company specializing in ICF. And the numbers? With a master's in accounting, she does that too. Sleeves up, boots on. This is the Build with ICF podcast.
I don't want nothing for free. I'm here to work. Been through the dirt. I've been through the dirt, yeah.
Okay, and normally I always look this up, and I didn't look it up today.
Did you?
No, and I forgot to ask you, so what is this, episode 64? Okay, that's what I was going to guess, was episode 64. And this has been a podcast that our listeners have been requesting for a very long time.
We've hyped it up a few times.
We have. I was hoping to get to meet this guest while we were at the Builder Show, and I know he was at World of Concrete, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him.
You were out wandering around.
I was wandering around. I missed him. And then at the awards show, he was up on the stage, and we were back by the bar working our booth, and he never came back there to talk to us. And so I finally get to meet him on today's show.
He's another one of those guests that I put "the" in front of his name.
Yes.
The Aaron King. The pool king. Aaron, the pool king, with all three pools. Everybody knows
That works.
Aaron as the ICF pool master and king. So just worked. I don't know if you legally changed your name to King just so you could say pool king, or if it actually were born that way.
Yeah, I come from a long line.
A long line of kings. God, that's so much cooler than the last name Brown. I am so envious. Like, nobody wants to say I come from a long line of Browns.
A long line
The
of
long line of
Browns, yeah,
Kings
no.
sounds so much cooler. So
Doesn't have the same ring.
God dang, man, it is awesome to have you on here. I've been hyping it up and wanting you on this podcast for a couple of years now, and we finally got it together
Heck
to
yeah.
do this. So this is really cool. So
It's perfect timing too, because I'm just like, after World of Concrete, I'm so fired up with where the industry is going and like kind of where we are all forcing it.
yeah, I think we all said that. We've been like, it's just you come out of there fired up. We did an episode on a recap of the world of concrete, and basically said that how you just come out of there so fired up. If you're in the concrete business, go and get pumped. You'll come out of there way more pumped.
This year was a different year, though. This year seemed just so much more like there's so much more going on, so much more excitement about ICF and building. And I don't know, it was different this year than it had been in prior years, I think.
I just remember too, like, and Aaron's not even, he didn't listen to the last couple of podcasts. So because we actually, one of them hasn't even gone out yet. So I actually a
word from our sponsor.
We actually have a sponsor now.
Yes.
So now, word from our sponsor.
And
do you
now,
want to try it this time, or you want me to do it?
I'll let you do it. You did much better than I do.
Okay,
so now a word from our sponsor.
The ICF industry finally has a unified voice. The World Insulated Concrete Forum Association, WICFA, is launching now to support advocacy, education, and industry growth. Be a part of it from day one. If you're a builder, manufacturer, engineer, distributor, or industry professional who believes in building stronger, more resilient structures, this is for you. Visit wicfa.org, that's WICFA.org, and join the wait list.
Thank you. That was very good.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
So, Aaron, we've been joking for years about having a sponsor. And so what we did is we went out and we started our own organization so we could be our own sponsor. So it's
it's official.
That works.
Welcome to it. Yeah. But anyways, so back to the real podcast here. Why don't you tell us a little bit? We started to talk about this before we were recording, and I wanted you to get back into it. Where did it start? Where did you see your first ICF? How did it get there? And give us kind of a condensed version of how it ended up in the ICF pool world.
Yeah. So, I mean, I graduated from Missouri State University in 2002, and I was a finance major, real estate finance. I was wanting to go into building and development, and I was in my senior year of college, and the last semester, this professor had several times said, you got to take this really boring class where you just read books about finance and you come talk to me about them. It's lame. You're not going to like it. I'm like, oh, that's great. He goes, I'll sign off. You get this. You're good to go. He's like, go take a class in the construction materials and methods because I know what you're trying to do. He kind of tailored my last semester to me. It was pretty cool of him to do. So I'm in this introductory to concrete class. Basically, when I got out of it, I could test like ASTM. I could go like test the concrete coming out of a truck. But I learned so much about concrete that helped me when I got into building a couple years later. But we had a lab. It was kind of a class that had classroom and then lab time. And in the lab, they had an ICF wall. I was telling you earlier, I bet it was Logix, just given the year. It couldn't have been many of the other blocks that I remember what it looked like. It was probably Logix. And it was just like, 10-foot long, 6-foot high wall. But I looked at it. I understood it. It just made so much sense to me. And then I graduate and I basically took an internship. I worked for my Sunday school teacher who was a builder at our church. He built a lot of houses. And I literally learned everything. I was $9 an hour, like grunt on this crew. We'd frame them all the way to building cabinets. So I learned everything. Wow. And I kept telling him, I was also shopping for my first house. I was really ambitious at that age. I bought my first house the next year when I was 23. And I was like, why aren't you doing ICF? It was a really cool product. I kept telling him I thought it was the future. He's super old school and didn't care. And about a year later, I started building on my own. I was ready. I built my first spec house at 24. And then he had a stroke and wanted me to come back and help him. And his enticement was, I sold an ICF house. You want to come back? And I ended up not. It just didn't work with our schedules, but it was in my head. And then I want to say, it kind of slowed down. Everybody talks about the 07, 08 crash. I actually had a lot of custom work. I was still in demand. And about 2011, I had one custom kind of winding down, nothing that really excited me on the horizon. And a guy asked me if I would build pools in about 2010. And I knew a guy who had actually been my basketball coach freshman year, and his hands would be bleeding on the ball because he was building pools and he was messing with the vermiculite during the day. And then after school, so he'd be like, somebody's bleeding. And he's like, oh, it's me. Like he thinks somebody had busted their hand. And I was like, I call a friend that still knew how to get a hold of him. And he's getting older at the time. And he's like, yeah, for like $2,000, he'll just teach us how to build a pool. Like, sell the pool and he will just come be our overseer. And it worked great. And we learned how to build pools from this guy. And so I was just going to build pools with a friend of mine who had a pool store. And he goes, I don't want to do the construction, but I can sell a lot of pools through my business. And so for like 2 years, I didn't build any houses. 2013, I start seeing that the economy's looking nice. I buy a foreclosed lot in a very fancy neighborhood. And I was working a pool show or a HBA home show with the pool company right next to the Nudura guy. And I spend the whole weekend chatting him up like, man, I've always loved this stuff. I'd love to try it. And I'm sitting here penciling it out. And I'm like, if I do the work myself, which I was going to frame it anyway, this 2,700 square foot really slick house is only going to cost me about $10,000 extra to go ICF. I got the lot in this fancy neighborhood for like $15,000 because it was foreclosed. It had been so I was like, I can afford to take the chance, without really hurting my budget at all. So that was the first time I touched it. Was probably like late 12, early 13, on a job site. That one spec house got me $1 million custom and 2 more after that, and then it was like on. It's like I tell people, ICF is its own advertisement.
Yep.
You start throwing up that big white wall, big blue or big green wall with Nudura, people just stop by and bug the crap out of you. Which if you understand what that is, that's free advertising.
It's free labor too.
They come walking up, and after that we were rolling, and I was already building pools, right? So that was already a thing I could do as an add-on, and that's kind of how we probably that $1 million custom that we got on ICF. And the next door neighbor, they were both wanting pools. And I was like, yeah, polymer wall is what I do, polymer wall vinyl liner. And my ICF guy's like, why aren't you building with ICF? And he didn't have to sell me because I'm like, I would just be replacing the wall. That's all I'm doing. I still put a vinyl liner in it. Wow, that would make it so much easier. I wouldn't have to do these hard angled, faceted deep ends. So that was my first 2. In like 2013, we did 2 vinyl liners. And then I just started making that my shtick. I wasn't trying to be Mr. Pool Guy. I'm like, if you let me build your super fancy house, I'll do the pool at cost.
Right.
That was
it was an add-on. It was a little closer. Yeah.
Yeah, but then, around 2017, I built my houses in Dauphin Island, which I had 3 partners on. I didn't build those out of ICF because I didn't yet understand how to elevate an ICF structure like on pilings.
Mhm.
That Mexico beach house, the Nudura house is like
Yep.
a famous photo.
That
That's only
everyone's
about a
stealing
foot
and putting
vinyl.
on their website all the time. I laugh every time. People put it. I saw it at World of Concrete. 3 different booths had it. It's like, that's not yours,
The
but okay.
biggest ICF guy in my market that's he doesn't put up always the best work, but he's very good at selling, very, very good at selling. He's got it blown up on this huge placard that he puts at every show. And I'm like, it's on a beach and you work in Missouri. Everybody knows this isn't your project, but our houses were just like that. And
Yeah.
they're right on the Gulf. They're not, that house is at least a little bit back. Ours are sitting ducks. And I built to a standard called fortified, which it's kind of like an Energy Star rating. It's a government program
Mhm.
that if you pass all the tests and meet it, there's a mandated 45% insurance savings, which down there is a big deal.
Yeah.
It actually pays for itself in like 2 years. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So for a wood structure, it's as good as it can get. 150-mile-an-hour wind rating, all that. But ICF is just beyond. So when I built the pools down there, they're ICF. So I was like, the pools will be there forever. I'm not sure the houses will be, and I wish that if I did a video, it was like my most hated on video because I titled it ICF regret. It was a little clickbaity, but I was meaning I regret not using ICF. I
Yeah.
said it in the video, but people were like, this doesn't even talk about your regret.
Yeah.
They were so mad.
Clickbaity.
But yeah,
I
that was
that
like
term.
the last big project I did where there was no ICF involved
Yeah.
at first. Because from that, we rolled into one of my Dolphin partners. We built his ultra modern house. I got kind of known on doing modern stuff. So that's kind of where some of the fancy, fancy houses you've seen that I did stemmed off of that build. The architects are pretty well known guys in town. And they started recommending me to other super ultra high end. Well, none of those guys want vinyl liner pools, right? They're like, so that's where we started kind of looking into it. It's like, man, I know that cold joint's going to be a problem. So that's where we got into the monopour and all this stuff. And we kind of pioneered that back in like 2017. We started monopouring pools. Just,
Mhm.
you don't have to if you're putting a liner or a membrane in. And we tell people there's a great value in not having to do that. Membranes are taking over in our market in the commercial world. But if like all these guys promoting any kind of plaster, in fact, the Zoom I was on before this was with a guy that makes a really cool fireproof plaster that's awesome. And he's really getting a ton of calls to do pool stuff. And I'm like, just don't say it works good on a cold joint.
Yeah.
They overmarket it, and I'm not saying I can't be sold that it can work, but teach people because we get so many emails begging for a solution when they're leaking,
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
tried it on their own. They didn't have the support on the finish and they did a good job otherwise, but now they have a leaky pool. And I'm like, that cold joint's going to be a tough fix if you didn't do it right in the first place.
Yep.
So we always just promote monopour it. Not saying you absolutely have to, but if there's not a cold joint, there isn't going to be movement there. It's going to make whatever you're doing on the finish easier,
Yeah.
like inherently easier.
Yeah.
So whether it's name them, it's going to work better. And I've told all the owners of all the companies that too. I'm like, I'm not saying your product is impossible to make work with a cold joint. I'm just saying your failure rate with a cold joint is going to be higher and markedly, probably.
Yeah.
So, that's where we've always been. I'm not saying I know every single finish out there either. So
Yeah. No, I tell people, I'm like, I learn stuff all the time. Been doing this for 25 years. And I still see stuff that I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that, or I would have done differently that.
exactly.
It's pretty crazy. Like, that's that. And I tell people this all the time on the podcast. I'm like, the fact is that I learn stuff all the time that people are going to do differently. So I'm not giving you the God honest truth here. And trust me, if you talk to 10 of us, there's 10 different ways to install stuff half the time that other guys are like, yeah, that's not the way I do it, which is fine. But
that's not the way I do it, but does it work? And that's what we tell all these different people that want us to promote their finishes. I'm like, guys, I want there to be 15 solutions for pool finishes.
Yeah,
I think there's 4 or 5 right now that I know you can do and make it work. There's another 4 or 5 that might work. And I'm constantly looking into it. I don't have enough time to spend 8 hours a day. In fact, this guy today's like, yeah, I've got a bunch of R&D to do. I'm like, thank you for saying that, because so many people want to rush right into the market and just sell. Like, the pool finish game is a really quick way to get rich, and then a really quick way to get sued if you don't know what you're doing. And that's like our rental it relationship with the membrane. They require you to get training before they'll sell you the product. And I'm like, all right, sign me up, because there's going to be way, way, way lower failure rate. They actually fly a guy out to like watch you weld your first pool, to certify you, to give you your little card. I'm like, okay, you guys get it. Like, you guys get that. They've been doing it in Europe for 34 years or something. So they kind of know what it takes to have a highly successful product, you know, and that's why we do what we do with ICF. I mean, we train people because we found that they struggle. And that's what I love about your new thing. Like, I've told all the manufacturers, I'm like, your little like coffee and, you know, convention center trainings get people excited, but they don't give any hands-on.
Yeah.
Like, we blow out walls. Like, we booby trap them to fail at our training.
Yeah.
You know, we give you the boogeyman and then say, this, look, it's not that big of a deal. With ICF, it's like best case. If you blow out a aluminum wall or plywood wall, your day is over.
Yeah.
You blow out an ICF wall, you got a 30-minute problem.
Yep.
And honestly, if you got enough guys,
Yeah.
it doesn't even delay you. You just have to come back to it.
Yep. No, and I think that's going to be, like I said, with the training aspect of ours is the fact that people, like, we even like the idea of levels, of leveling training and showing people, like, look, I don't expect you to be a, you know, platinum level guy in 6 hours. You know, you're going to have to get there with installs and training, you know, other trainings and different things like that. So, like, we definitely want to tier this up and let people know that, like, this isn't, you know, you don't, like you said, just go take a lunch and learn and all of a sudden come out of there as an ICF installer. And that's what I don't want people to think. Like, I get a lot of grief because I love to use the term Legos for big kids, and people get so pissed at me because they're like, quit calling them Legos.
I kind of like it.
You're downplaying it. It's so much more serious. This is how we get just, you know, people to screw it up. I'm like, I get it, but it is Legos for big kids.
I get it, but I've seen DIYers that do the due diligence and listen do a much cleaner install.
Agreed.
Like, when they it's their home, and usually it's their forever home. They're doing this, they're upgrading to ICF because they plan to stay there.
Yeah.
We make a good case for it makes sense if you're going to be in it for 30 months, but these people are planning on being in it for 30 years.
Right.
They get it perfect. And I mean, they take a little longer than than we would. I mean, I feel like when my Amish crew is full time, which isn't very often these days because they're, you know, in demand in Amish country too. I'd put them up against anybody's speed and quality for overall performance. But even the guys that I've got building pools, which are, you know, not Amish guys for the most part, they're very fast. But I get guys building their very first pool and doing just as good as we do. Like, all the time. We had 2 trainees win awards for one guy's first pool and one guy's probably fourth pool. They won World of Concrete with their first and fourth pool.
That was awesome.
So I get offended when guys that have done 10 jobs get like irritated at DIYers or something. I'm like, dude, I guarantee you, I've seen some of your work, and I've seen some DIY work that is far superior. So
I say stick frame guys the same thing. They go, yeah, I've seen those walls go crooked. I go, yeah, I've seen your walls crooked too. Like, and here's the crazy part about wood that I will say over and over again is today's wood. You could make that wall dead plumb flush, and in 6 months, due to no fault of your own, due to the wood quality, could be popping sheetrock and bending and twisting and out of plumb. So concrete's not going to do that.
They harvest some yellow pine at 11 years now, and they've actually, a lot of the engineering data has dropped the span chart down.
Yeah.
In Dauphin Island, I learned a lot about it because we actually used LVL girders that we had to wrap because they knew that the treated, you know, yellow pine treated lumber, the spans were dropping and they weren't going to certify my stuff. And that was pretty eye-opening. It's like 11-year harvests on some of that stuff.
Yeah, you're talking growth rings that are an inch wide. You know, I mean, anyone knows wood. The tighter the growth ring, the stronger it is. You're looking at growth rings that are an inch wide. It's just like, so
it's like crazy. A sponge. You know, the element house that I built, that I did all the video on last year that is heated with Bitcoin and stuff, that thing had 12-foot high walls, and the wood studs, the 2x6 wood walls inside, I bet we had to replace 80 studs.
Yeah.
We're pretty wet in the spring. They had 1 and 2 inch bows in them, and we culled out. They were straight when we framed it. And by the time they got to drywall, there was probably 80 studs that weren't even like straightenable. We had to cut them out and fix them and just replace them.
Yeah.
So that's the world of lumber these days.
Yeah.
It's
So that's why
Yeah.
you don't use firewood to build your houses out of.
Exactly.
You,
It's great for burning,
Exactly.
yeah, it's
not
great.
for
Put it
building.
in your fireplace and inside your
Yes.
ICF house, and you're good. But
I got a buck stove in mine.
there you
Yeah.
go.
It works great.
So I do want to ask. So the one thing I think people are, I mean, the biggest question we get, and the why they wanted you on here was there's such a demand for the ICF pools. If there's just somebody out there, I mean, I know I actually was going to tell you I was trying to look it up on my phone, but I just gave your name to another guy this week, but because we get calls all the time about it. If you're somebody out there that's just looking anywhere in the U.S. that's looking to build a pool, like how do you even get started in this? I mean, what do you suggest they do? If they're listening to this podcast and like, I want an ICF pool, what's their first move?
Absolutely. So I would say, I mean, obviously you're wanting to turnkey it with a builder, or you want to DIY it. I honestly, and this isn't a shameless plug, but I think that, but now that Pat and Eric are on board for the last 2 years, our website, all3pools.com, ALL, the number 3 pools, is we have a lot of info on there, but then we also, you can chat with Eric and Pat just by, hitting the chat with whatever, because we've trained over 300 builders now. And that's mostly in the US, but there's probably 20 of them in Canada, and there's some in Norway, Australia, other places. I mean, we've had people from a lot in the Caribbean, because ICF is growing dramatically in the Caribbean because of the hurricane resistance. And we know people that we can refer you to that know how to do it with our methods. And I believe I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of ICF pools, so I know what not to do as much as I know what to do. And if you have any ambition to get into the game, there's so much room, then I think coming to one of our classes makes a ton of sense, because I will show you failure. I will make a wall fail and say, okay, this is worst case, whatever. And I think that's worth it if you're wanting to DIY it. I mean, people routinely save 30 grand DIYing their pool over what a retail pool builder costs. In, a typical vinyl liner at this point is going for $80,000 to $100,000. We see people building them for less than 50.
Yeah.
All the time. So, it's kind of worth coming to a class, because not this, I say, I'm not going to tell you need the class. I'll never say that, because there's plenty of super smart people that could, but generally, I'm going to show you 2 or 3 tricks that are going to save you from that one mistake, especially like on the auto covers. We literally have Aquamatic president and the main sales guy that you talk to when you buy an auto cover. Like, we don't sell you the auto cover. We say, there's no point. It's shipping straight out of California. The warranty, everything's going to be right in your name. But those guys come to my training and do like a 2-hour thing. We have a little pool set up in our warehouse, and they show all the cool, I mean, there's like 15 patents on that auto cover that no other auto cover has. And because they sell direct to these customers, they end up paying less than if they had to go through like an SCP, because all the other covers that you know the name of are forced distribution at this point, meaning there's a middleman that's locked in. And a lot of the SCPs don't sell directly to a DIYer, so then they'll send you through a Leslie's or whatever. So now there's 2 middlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your class is really an insurance policy for people getting started.
It's an insurance policy. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I tell people, I'm like, well, even like we had a couple guys come to my Dauphin Island training that were actually pool builders already. I'm like, every time we have a pool builder, I'm like, oh man, are we going to have a guy that knows more than me? I'm always worried that there's this guy who's going
to start
out me as
critiquing
like
you.
a fraud or something. In fact, my last training, we had probably a dude that was in his mid-70s that had been building pools in Santa Fe for 40 years. I'm like, all right, this is the guy.
There it is.
And he's a gunite guy. And most gunite guys hate me. And because I say that shotcrete and gunite's a great technology for fireproofing, skyscrapers and, shoring up like hillsides that are about to, but it's not a great product for pools. And that makes them very angry.
Yeah.
I always have the analogy that it was state of the art when the Ford Pinto was state of the art. That's when it was invented. So perhaps there's better ways to do things,
maybe technology's come around a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. They do not like it when I say that stuff. But anyway, this guy was like, he was here to learn because he's partnered up with a guy that is getting into the market in Santa Fe. And he's got the pool knowledge. This guy's got the building knowledge, but they both knew they needed the ICF pool knowledge. And so they're coming back to the rental training just because that's the route they're going here in a few weeks. But it's an insurance policy because this guy knew everything you ever need to know about quick chemistry, plumbing, all the other things. And that training, we always say it's drinking from a fire hose. It's way too much information for 3 days. Yeah. But now you're kind of on the team. We help you design out like your plumbing. Eric gives you this whole schematic. We haven't had anybody fail to build a pool that's tried.
Right.
And I don't know that any other method can say that.
That's pretty good success rate. Yes.
You're going to complete a pool. Now, I'm not saying that all 300 people that have come to training have bothered to build a pool. Some people just come and they haven't gotten to it yet. But we'll get somebody from my very first training that just built a pool this year, 4 years later, because they have life gets in the way of these projects.
Yeah. It's funny.
So,
or
we're still here for it. We're like, here you go. We're ready for it. Let's go. So Eric designs it out. I'm like, actually, you're gonna have a better experience now than you would have had 4 years. 4 years ago, it was just me and a bunch of dudes that didn't know much about pools. They knew stuff about shipping, which was helpful, but it didn't force multiply, which Eric and Pat are massive force multipliers. So yeah, we move a lot more pools than I could have ever even quoted by myself. So
yeah, for me, just like 25 years in this, sitting there thinking about like, I remember when we first even saw like a pool show up in the ICF Builder Awards and it was under like specialty products or whatever. And it was just,
the first award I won was a specialty product. Yeah. It wasn't a pool product. Yeah.
Right. And then it's like now, and I talked to like Craig and Vanessa about it. They're like, God, we're going to have to open up to different levels of pool.
Commercial pools and residential is probably the next break because like we have at least 2 commercial pools that would compete next year. And a couple awesome residential pools. Right. And I actually think they started the pool category after I had like 2 entries in 1 year that won. And they're like, they don't want me to sweep a category of things that weren't even pool related, necessarily. Because they got the specialty needs to be specialty. I mean, they got neat projects, grottos and
super cool stuff.
Yeah.
So
really cool stuff. And
okay,
right.
We know we're on a little bit of a timeline today, so everybody relax. We could talk for 2 hours with Aaron. We can always have Aaron back on. We can do it again, and so everybody relax. I know they all have questions. Actually, this will be good because I know happens because this happens on all these episodes that are really sought after. We end up with a ton of questions right after, so I get a bunch of DMs from people, and they're like, "Yeah, you should ask him. They should ask him." I'm like, "Okay, we can do a follow up." So
we'll do a follow up. But there's 3 questions that we ask all of our guests, on their first time on the podcast. So, first question is, tell us about one of your most memorable experiences with ICF.
Okay, I would say memorable just because, I'm known for referring to things on my YouTube as the pucker factor, like how scary is a pour.
Yeah, agreed.
And
been there.
So, first, the way the training came about was people you got people reaching out to you all the time, and people were like begging to come work with me on these pools. Like, we'll come work for free. And I'm like, that sounds great, but next week I'm digging a hole. What are you going to learn?
Right.
Like, and I can't schedule it. It's raining this week. So I finally told my wife, she was wanting a koi pond. I wanted a pool. We were debating which one was going to win. And my wife always wins these debates.
I could have told you that one.
But I was like, if I call it a pool, people will actually pay to come learn how to do this. Now, I made it 5 feet deep. She designed the shape of it. She didn't realize it was going to be chlorinated and swimmable until pretty late in the game. But I did that, and that was a pucker factor because I had 17 people sign up in a day to come to this thing. Not really having a curriculum or anything.
You're like, oh, now I got to do it.
2 months to get
ready. Better figure this out.
I kind of had it in my head, but I had 2 months to get ready. And just for the record, if people come to training, we always let them come back. I'll call them alums because it changes, and it's like what we do today compared to then is like night and day different. We have better. We always had good site visits because all these multi-million-dollar houses I built, they're still gracious enough to let me invade their personal space and bring 15 people to look at these like pretty upper echelon projects. And, but probably my most memorable was my Dauphin Island training when I built those pools. Because remember, those pools were ICF monopours, light deck on pilings. So what that means is like about 250,000 pounds of concrete poured on that. All of it is supported by false work. Not like the beams, the grade beams and everything else that are going to hold the pool up for life are liquid when we pour it, right? So it's all based on false work that is sitting on sand. And so the pucker factor was like an 11. And I am ballsy enough once I've pulled it off once. So we have 2 houses next door to each other. So we're going to have 2 pools. I devised this wintertime training because the weather's pretty good in, Gulf Coast, Alabama in the winter, that I would pour the first pool in January. If it went well, I would be able to finish it and put water in it at the training that we poured the second pool the next month. So, and I tell everybody, I'm like, it's normally 3 days, make it a working vacation, make it a week. And, we'll all get to know each other, but we're going to do all this, but it might rain, there might be weather. But I'm pouring the second pool, which is just as scary as the first, because if you miss a screw, I'm going to be famous for the wrong kind of reason. Disaster videos get a lot more views than success. In front of 19 strangers the day we poured it, standing on my deck just filming. So there's no hiding this if it goes bad. The first concrete truck misses the driveway and ends up buried in the beach to his axles. I mean, so that's probably my most memorable. And that is the most tight-knit group to this day because they were together. A lot of them stayed in one of the houses. I had one of the houses empty. One of the houses was full of laborers, that were helping me.
Yeah.
So like, it was like a fraternity party almost. Like everybody was there for a week. And there's a builder in Seattle. There's one in Florida. Or Georgia. And Florida. I mean, they're all over the U.S. and they all still text. They all still stay in touch. I mean, that's one of the things about those trainings. They turn into these awesome networks. But that one was like the scariest one I've ever done, just for the consequence of failure.
Yeah,
it's not. Oh, I had a blowout. I got to grind some.
No, it's elevated, and it's
I got $40,000 worth of work laying on the beach. That not only is it laying on the beach, but now I have to clean it up.
Now you're getting fined. Now you're being fined and having to clean up.
Yeah,
yeah, it was a pucker factor of 11. So that's my most memorable for sure.
Oh, right. That's a really good one. All right. So our next question, I'm trying to read Trevor's writing.
What are you looking forward to in the future? Like you're talking about how just the advances in pools, the advances in ICF, like all these different things. Like we all talk about this all the time. Like never would have thought I'd be using fiberglass rebar. Never thought I'd be using some of the things. Like there's a lot of things out there that I'm like, didn't think that. Is there anything that we're looking forward to that specifically that you see coming down the pipeline that people should be excited about or that you're excited about?
Man, there's like 80 things that I World of Concrete. No, I'm serious. Like it's such a cool time to be alive in construction. I mean, like I always tell my guys, I'm like, can you imagine being a carpenter before nail guns? But now, like
tying rebar by hand.
How did people build houses before cell phones? But now, like ICF, we're in such a place now where design is so easy with computer-aided things that used to take so long to develop, it's happening so fast now, So products are improving so much. I mean, like you've been in the game for 25 years. And think about like where ICF has gone, but like in the last 5 years, how many good products, or you know what I mean? So like we're building our warehouse, which is probably my most exciting thing in the next 12 months and it's a massive ICF project. But I'd say one thing that I'm excited about a little bit. I mean, I don't want to go too deep into this because I'm not like versed enough in the science, but the polyurethane ICF that's coming out is pretty neat.
Yeah.
I think, the fireproof aspects of it, I think give it certain interest in certain areas, that have been fire impacted because the foam doesn't melt, so granted, I know that foam doesn't melt. Like, people argue as long as you put a good fire retardant cladding on there, good stucco, whatever, it's not going to melt anyway. But
yeah, we had Monolith. Monolith came on.
Ratings.
Yeah, Monolith came on the podcast. They've been on here. Love those guys. They
did?
Yep, they've been on the podcast. And
was
then
it Dustin or Ben or who was it?
Yep, both. Okay. And so and then Kirk and Ben invited me down to Utah, and I actually went to their plant and got to make a couple blocks and stuff. So
I talked to Dustin a lot. He actually came into World of Concrete.
Yeah, I saw him at World of Concrete. Yeah, I think he was I think he was chasing you down when I ran into him, so he was trying to find you somewhere.
He's wanting us to build the buildings out of it. And we may.
Yeah, I went down there and did that too. Yeah, they had me after they came on the podcast. They invited me down there to the to their facility, and we made a few blocks and stuff and hung out with them and stuff. So they're actually wanting to come back on. That's another one of those rerounds because we have had some good questions about it and stuff. And
they have my most popular video that I've done in the last 6 months because I think people
Saw
want to
that.
know about it, and that's where I say, like, I call myself ICF Guru 'cause I want to nerd out till I understand every molecule of a product. And right now I understand 90% of what I want to understand with their stuff. Because like when I made that video, there was an old, I mean, I'm sure it's a guy you know well. It's like an older guy from Fox Blocks. Like, there's a reason nobody does that. And I'm like, and he elaborated. And then Ben commented, and it was actually a really nice back and forth. He's like, it gives off cyanide gas when flames hit it. And he's like, we formulated it. It does not do that. And they went back and forth. So I was like, okay, but I didn't know. Like, I didn't know.
Yep.
But Ben was right there. You know,
Yeah,
so
and that's the good thing
get a little better.
That debate back and forth. That's the good thing about getting people where they can do it. Because I've done podcasts about how irate I get about some of the crap that's going on in the ICF forums because I feel like people are just trying to tear each other down sometimes. But like,
I think we know that, and I try to stay
crazy.
positive. There's a couple people that manage to suck me in every once in a while because they use like ChatGPT to make a post that makes no sense, or they use my photos on their website.
Yeah,
the same guy did that. So,
we've had those happen too. So yeah, we understand that when guys that create their websites based on project pictures that they took at one of our trainings. But yeah, it was
because people come to our training.
It looks familiar.
Let them we have about 400 stock photos from our jobs. We're like, use them to help you. You say, I trained with these guys, whatever. But this guy, I don't even know him that well, and every one of his photos for pools that I know he doesn't build, he's just trying to market it. There are pools.
Yeah.
And I'm like, interesting. And he's like, he tried to blame it on his web designer, but obviously,
we've all been there.
Web designer found me for a reason.
Well, and that's too. I'm going to sidetrack before you get to the third question, and then we'll wrap it up. But I did want to clarify too. So when you go check you out on, I push into the pool thing because that's what everyone wants to, has been asking me for.
Yeah, I get that.
But you're the ICF Guru also. He's not just the pool guy. He's the ICF Guru, and your comparison videos I have sent so many people to go watch, like because you break down.
I try to be
physically, visually videos of how you
I'll be honest with you about my top 3, top 5, whatever, but there are 10 that you can successfully build with. And if you have an amazing AMVIC guy in your market, then you're going to be best off with AMVIC. We are trying to be the best guy for that, but it's hard. Like, we've got a guy on the West Coast that does a lot with us now that, like, we just send him that stuff, and anything west of the Rockies, he quotes for people, and it's working great, but he's one guy. If you have a great rep in your market, like, you'll see, like, why is Stronghold so big in Cleveland or whatever? Because they've got an awesome guy. Yeah. And that's half of it. That's more than half of it. Yep. So, yeah.
We advise people that all the time. If people go back and listen to our one of our first episodes was how to pick a block, and it goes right down. I did exactly what you said. I said, it's like comes down to the support and what you've got in the area, and it may vary from side to side, place to place. And for the most part, everyone's got a pretty darn good product. It's just a matter of preference and service. And so I think that's a big part of it. But your videos that you do where you actually, because I mean, I know we try to do the same thing in an audio version on here, just saying, all right, let me get all the different manufacturers on to talk about their blocks and let you make that decision. You give a visual to it to where you actually have the block there and you go through what you like about it and stuff. So anyways, just wanted to give a little plug for your videos for that, because that is a really hand
talker.
It's a good, and you just feel like you get to know you better, Anyways, all right. Question 3.
Question number 3, and this is just kind of where you get to do a little bit of a sales pitch, but why ICF Gurus? Why do they work with you for pools?
Well, I got into that a little bit. I mean, we've been doing it just about as long as anybody. I mean, you'll see guys saying they've been doing it for 25 or 30 years, but I'm like, what were you doing 25 or 30 years ago? None of these finishes were around.
Right.
So if you're saying you were doing vinyl liner, that's fine, because vinyl liners, you're effectively just replacing a steel wall or a polymer wall. But we've been there, done that in literally every version of it. I mean, from your basic vinyl liner up to, I've got all the plaques sitting, but you can't see it back here, but like all of our plaques from all of our awards since 2023. So like the last 4 years, we've won first and second and third, then first last year, then first and second this year. So, I mean, these are pools, and some of these are our trainees. The last 2 years, we had more trainees win awards than we did. So
Awesome.
the people that come to our training are building not just basic pools that win national awards. So Eric and Pat were my biggest thing where I kind of had to humble myself to realize that I couldn't do everything perfectly and that I needed for really professional help. I had guys that were like that. I had guys that were good at shipping helping me, but it was still me doing all the pool design, pool layout, and I could only do that for so many people. Eric is amazing. Pat is, I mean, it's just a much more efficient system. And like I told the guy that was working with me that was way overselling pools and getting way strung out on pools. And he had a lot of customers that would text me going, "Hey, this is just a builder that I'm talking about." And he'd be like, "Hey, I can't get a hold of so and so." And I'm like, "Man," I was like, "You got a lot of mad customers right now. I don't have any right now." I was like, "This is like it's a better life. Slow down and do
It's way more
perfect
fun.
work." And we do that now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, in fact, we have a guy working our website right now. When you come to our website and you put in a request for information, it's actually going to show you, hey, we've got 3 really awesome people. We've got 2 more that are going to help, but here you are. There's 4 guys in front of you, but we're going to get to you in like 2 days. It's not
Yeah.
like a big turnaround, but we're not forgetting about you. You know what I mean? 'Cause we don't want people to think that. We also, the people that are up, we want to spend that quality time with them so people know where it is. And that's going to be live on our site probably in the next 30 days. That's the very first thing that our new guy Brant wanted to work on. Like he audited our website and said, "Hey, I want to do all these things." So our site is good right now. It's about to be like just great. And the guys are awesome. And I say that because it's not even that much of me. I'm the on-site guy and I'm the in-person training guy. Eric is also always here in person. Pat's here like half the time. But yeah, I think our training is kind of next level. And when we get our new warehouse, we're going to add a bunch of other stuff. We've got guys that are amazing at like sculpted rock, like water feature foundation.
Wow.
We're going to let them do like 2 trainings a year at our facility. It's not even us. It's just, if you want to get artisanal touch, or we have enough space that we're going to do the thing where you can project a house plan on the floor.
Mhm.
You know how they do that now where you
Mhm.
walk around?
Yep.
We're going to do ICF house training because people are begging us to do that. And I'm
Mhm.
like, we don't have the room really right now. We're in 3,000 square feet. We're building 50,000 square feet. A lot of that's going to be for rent. It's not ours, but we're going to have as much space as we want. So we are thinking about leaving one whole bay just for training where
Wow.
it won't always be us per se, but it'll be something educational going on that you can tailor like you talked about having levels of it,
Yeah.
but we're talking about like, hey, I want to learn how to sculpt awesome rocks like the guys at Bass Pro. Well, I mean, we're where Bass Pro was founded. We have a lot of that talent around us. And I'm like, guys, you want to show what you're working with and, grow those
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
So that's really where I see things going, and that's where we're committed. I never thought teaching this stuff would be as rewarding as building,
Yeah.
but it's so rewarding
pretty
watching people. I just have this whole belief that building, it's not just a man thing. It's so good for the soul to create things, to be hands-on or have an outlet. Like 2 of my best friends, I was a finance major. 2 of my best friends are in banking. Works for the Fed being an examiner, which is
Mm.
super boring. And then I've got a banker friend he's actually so much more fulfilled now that he invests in real estate and buys apartments and other stuff. But like day to day, I mean, I'm colder than them. I'm wetter than them. I'm muddier than them on a daily basis. I'm also a lot more just even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
There's days I want to murder everybody, at least every 10 days. But most days I'm having a ball and I enjoy it. And now that I have the help at my company for the last couple of years, my stress level is pretty low. I know what I'm doing, so now I just have to go do it, be
Yeah.
good at it. And so we want to help more and more people do that. I guess that's the moral of what we're trying to do and grow with all 3 pools and ICF Guru, because we've kept the ICF Guru domain. It just directs to all 3, but we're going to build a whole separate thing out in time where that's more information based and house based. We've got a couple opportunities to get involved with more high rise ICF stuff, Lake of the Ozarks, and if we can get involved in that just to promote why that actually makes so much sense. I mean, I find that commercial ICF pencils easier than residential because once you get over 12 feet on CMU, I can get very competitive with ICF. I can make a case that I'm cheaper.
Yeah.
By the time you're done.
Yeah.
So, those things are all, reasons to come see me, I guess you'd say.
I love it.
It is, and it's the truth. I mean, and that's we'll wrap you up here and get out of here. But thank you for coming on here. I know it's been
I'd love to do it
chased
again.
you
That's
around for a
awesome.
while.
I love what you're doing too. I mean, it's all there's so many like minds that are all on the inside that can see that this is the future. This is what we all need to be focused on. And I think we are the thing that'll take ICF into the mainstream more than the manufacturers, more than anything, because we know it's great.
Like I said, I think we're the tide that raises the boats, right? I think there's certain players in here that we have the ability, we have the voices, we have the attitude to do it, and so and that's what we're doing with the World Insulated Concrete Forum Association. That's why we're wanting to go that route and get that out there for everybody. But thank you so much for coming on here. This has been exactly what I hoped it would be, and even better. We'll continue to do this. Every time I get to see you and chat with you, you just get me pumped more about all this stuff and just see the was that steel sharpens steel or iron sharpens iron or whatever, right?
Iron sharpens iron. Yeah.
It's just great to listen to you.
No, dude, we were talking about mics and stuff like that, but I'll have to have you come into one of these trainings and stuff and hang out, and we'll go live from it or something.
100%. Yeah, that'd be great. And we actually, we will chat about that because I do have some time. I'll be out your direction here pretty soon. So here within the next month or so. So or 2 months, I guess I'll be out there. But yeah, everything awesome. So everybody, you want to check him out? I will put all these links in the show notes so you guys can get to his website, and we'll get all3pools.com, ICF Guru on the you've got all three's got their own
Socials,
Instagram.
yeah.
Or is it
ICF Guru on Instagram and X, and then I'm all 3 pools on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah, and the YouTube, obviously, you're big, big
we're
one.
trying to get better at Insta and all that stuff. It's not natural to me to be short-winded, but I'm working on it.
I'm working on it. No, that's awesome. And so everybody else, you guys know the spiel. Find us at Build with ICF on all the socials, and then info at buildwithicf.com. I know we're going to get flooded with questions, people saying, oh, you should have asked him this, and how about this? So we will be lining up round 2 with Aaron. So any questions you have, please let us know. If you guys have other guests that you guys want to see,
follow up. Yeah,
I know. We're gonna have, if there's anybody else out there that you guys want us, we're slowly checking away these lists of people that want to be, that people have asked to be on. So it's good. Keep sending them in to us. We love it when our listeners reach out to us and tell us what they want to hear, because that's what we're here for. That's why we do this, is for you guys
to grow the industry. No, just thank you.
Get out there, and it is live. I mean, we're wicfa.org. Go on there and sign up on the wait list right now. We will be going live shortly with memberships to where we can send you up. If you go sign up on the wait list, you will be one of the first to get an invite to be a member, and we will send that to you on there. So please go log in and sign up on the wait list.
And then we had our first 100 that sign up are going to be part of the Founders Club.
Yeah. And I don't know, maybe by the time we air this podcast, it might be over. It might be past 100. I don't know. So get in there fast. But the first 100 members are be part of the Founders Club, which will get special benefits with the World Insulated Concrete Forum Association. So get on there and sign up fast. So anyways, thank you, Aaron. This has been awesome, just like I knew it would be. Thank you, guys. I appreciate everything you're out there doing, and we will see everybody next time.